They said it was just another Wednesday. But somewhere between Wall Street's panic and Mar-a-Lago's silence, a name showed up again, not in a headline, but in a stock disclosure: Marjorie Taylor Greene. On Monday, she called worried investors losers. On Tuesday, she praised the market while others panicked. And on Wednesday, she quietly reported buying stock, right before those same tariffs she dismissed were lifted by the man whose policies she defends with fanatical loyalty. A lucky guess, maybe. Or maybe just another episode of a game the public never gets to play, where power doesn't predict the market, it moves it. Within 48 hours, an internal memo from an ethics staffer had leaked. Within 72, a bipartisan whisper turned into a formal call for hearings. And by the end of the week, a congressional chamber long used to partisan theater would become the setting for something much rarer: a Republican lawmaker under oath. Not grandstanding, but squirming. Because this time, the cameras weren't pointed at a protest, they pointed at her. And this wasn't a campaign ad. It was an investigation. A room full of lawmakers. A trail of disclosures. A chair with her name on it. And 4 Democrats, each armed not with slogans but with receipts. This is the story of the day Marjorie Taylor Greene walked into a hearing room thinking it was politics as usual, and walked out knowing it was anything but. Hello friends. If you're new here and enjoy secrets like this, I invite you to like this video and subscribe to the channel to help me bring more great secrets to you. Hit that subscribe button right now and type justice, along with where you're watching from, in the comment section. Stay tuned, this is a Secrets of HQ, shocking twists, and ultimate karma. The room smelled like coffee, copy toner, and tension. It was the kind of air you could cut with a subpoena. Every camera in the chamber pointed not at the chair, but at the nameplate in front of it: Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. She arrived like she was walking into a pep rally, chin up, blazer pressed, and a grin sharpened for prime time. The House Oversight Committee chamber was packed, but it was her stage, and she knew it. Let's be clear, this hearing is nothing but a partisan circus, a smear campaign dressed up in subpoenas and sound bites, and you know it, she announced, even before taking her seat, voice slicing through the murmurs. Chairman Adam Schiff didn't flinch. He waited for her to finish, adjusted his glasses with lawyerly precision, then tapped the gavel once, not to silence her, but to remind her who was in charge. The committee will come to order, he said, voice calm, clipped, and twice as deadly for its restraint. Greene dropped into her seat with theatrical flair, crossing her legs like she was settling into a morning show interview, not a congressional inquest. From his chair, Schiff folded his hands. Representative Greene, thank you for joining us. Didn't exactly have a choice, she muttered into the mic, loud enough to carry. A few Republicans behind her chuckled. Schiff ignored the jab. Today's session addresses serious concerns about your recent stock trades, particularly those made in close proximity to key policy shifts, specifically the Trump administration's decision to suspend tariffs. Greene raised an eyebrow. You mean when President Trump rescued American businesses from unnecessary burdens while Democrats sat on their hands? You call it rescue. Some call it market manipulation. And when trades appear to precede policy by a matter of hours, it raises questions, Schiff replied evenly. And when those trades involve a member of Congress with oversight of the man benefiting from the policy, it raises alarms. Schiff let that hang, then added. Greene leaned into the mic, smirking. Oh, so now having faith in American innovation is a crime? Schiff didn't blink. We're not here to prosecute patriotism. We're here to examine whether a member of Congress purchased Tesla stock while overseeing the man who profits most from its performance, Elon Musk. That name hit like a dropped file cabinet in the press row. Pens scribbled faster in the back. An aide whispered into a staffer's ear. Even Greene's eyes flickered, just for a moment. I chair the subcommittee on government efficiency. That doesn't mean I micromanage Musk, she said, a little less flippant. No, but it does mean you're responsible for ensuring transparency, accountability, and the absence of personal gain. That last one is increasingly in question. Schiff said. The gavel clicked once more. Schiff turned to the room, voice now projecting across chambers and cameras. Let the record show, this hearing will examine the timeline and substance of trades made by Representative Greene immediately preceding and following executive tariff decisions. It will consider her role in the DOE subcommittee, her financial disclosures, and her communication with figures under her oversight, including Mr. Musk. Greene sat stiffly, jaw clenched. Her silence was rare and deafening. Schiff continued, still composed, still surgical. This committee is not interested in slogans. We are interested in facts. If the facts are innocent, the record will show it. If not, then the record will show that too. From across the room, one of the Democratic aides scribbled something on a note and passed it forward. She's losing the room already. But it didn't look like Greene had read the memo. Schiff paused, just long enough to let the weight of his last line settle over the room. The silence wasn't empty. It was strategic. Greene sat rigid, jaw tight, a woman who had entered the hearing room expecting political theater and now found herself cast in the role of financial defendant. But Schiff wasn't done. Not even close. He adjusted the mic, voice steady as ever. Now let's move from oversight to opportunity. A few heads in the gallery tilted, sensing where this was going. Schiff slid a new page to the front of his folder and looked up. Representative Greene, you seem to have impeccable timing, not just in stocks tied to oversight, but in trading right before the news that moves the market. A subtle shift passed through the room. Greene didn't blink, but her silence gave her away. Schiff continued, voice now calm but carrying steel beneath it. So let's talk about tariffs. He held up a printout. The quote at the top was bold and unapologetic, straight from Greene's own account. Panicking over tariffs? Losers and failures. This is from Monday. Still stand by it? Schiff began. Greene leaned in, smile curling with zero remorse. Absolutely. People panic every time a CNBC host raises their voice. I just tell them, calm down. Believe in this country. If that makes me the villain, she shrugged, if the shoe fits, wear it. Some low chuckles came from the GOP bench behind her. Schiff let them hang. Then came Tuesday, he continued. Your subcommittee met. According to internal notes, you dismissed concerns that the White House might reverse course on tariffs. You told colleagues, and I quote, I wouldn't panic if I were you. Trump's not stupid. Greene smirked. Said it. Meant it. And then on Wednesday, Trump did exactly what you claimed he wouldn't, reverse the tariffs. In the markets, Schiff said, eyes narrowing. They jumped, Greene replied, tone flat. They jumped because people who bought while others panicked walked away with profit, Schiff echoed. He slid another document across the desk. And between Monday and Tuesday, your disclosure shows significant stock purchases, sectors that stood to gain from tariff relief, manufacturing, shipping, auto tech, including Tesla. Greene didn't flinch, but her tone cooled. Buying law isn't a crime, Congressman. No. Unless you knew it would rise. Greene scoffed. I didn't have a crystal ball. No. You had access. You sat in rooms the public doesn't, Schiff said, voice colder now. He leaned in. When you tell people not to panic while buying the dip in sectors you knew would benefit from a policy shift, that's not savvy. That's a scheme. Whispers spread through the room. Greene's jaw tightened. I invest like every smart American should, she shot back. You people act like trading's some forbidden art. Maybe if the rest of you weren't obsessed with fake scandals, you'd actually understand how markets work. Oh, I understand markets just fine. And I understand insider trading better, Schiff replied. He turned to the room. The pattern is too clean. Monday, dismissive rhetoric. Tuesday, reassurance and buying spree. Wednesday, policy reversal. Then, turning back to Greene, all that's missing is the memo. There was no memo, Greene snapped. No signal. No text. No hallway whisper. Nothing. I found out when everyone else did. You sure? You're under oath. Then let the record show, Congresswoman Greene claimed she had no foreknowledge. He folded the document in half, precisely. But what's damning here isn't just that you traded. It's that you traded with confidence. The kind of confidence the average American doesn't get, because they don't sit on oversight committees. They don't get briefings. They don't shake hands with people who pull the levers. Greene shot back, they don't sit in those rooms because they don't fight for them. I'm here because I represent people who are crushed by your policies, truckers, single moms, small business owners. I'm not apologizing for believing in a recovery. You didn't believe in it. You knew when it was coming, Schiff said, unblinking. And that line dropped like a hammer. For the first time, Greene blinked. Then went silent. No snappy comeback. Just breath, short and tight. Schiff sat back and tapped the gavel once. The chair yields to the next member. But no one in the room doubted what had just happened. The foundation cracked. If Schiff made the incision, Garcia measured the bleeding. Cold. Precise. Surgical. He leaned forward, speaking not like a politician, but like an auditor who's already done the math. He said, flipping a page already marked with red tabs, let's walk through the timeline. January 27th, Trump tweets, hinting at tariff rollback. January 28th, you appear on Fox News saying, Trump has a plan. People need to stop panicking. January 29th, manufacturing stocks drop. January 30th, your financial team purchases positions in Tesla, freight tech, and logistics indexes. February 2nd, White House formally announces rollback. February 3rd, Tesla jumps. Freight tech climbs. You say nothing. He paused. You didn't predict the future, Congresswoman. You choreographed around it. Greene straightened, but her eyes moved. Once left, then back. That's a stretch. Markets move all the time. People react to trends. This is just a reaction, not conspiracy. Garcia didn't blink. Then release your office's correspondence with the White House. Prove it wasn't coordinated. Greene's jaw tensed. I'm not obligated to turn over internal communications without cause. Garcia's tone stayed neutral, but it landed like cold metal. Ethics investigations are the cause. He held up a chart. Arrows and timestamps danced in tandem, Trump tweet. Greene's comment. Market drop. Stock buy. Policy shift. Market spike. 6 moves, all in perfect rhythm. If this were a ballet, I'd applaud. But it's not. It's Congress. Greene's voice rose. This is political theater. You're twisting a sequence of public events into some grand design. No. I'm showing a pattern. One the public wasn't invited to dance in, Garcia said flatly. He pointed back at the timeline. You soothed the public on live TV knowing volatility helped you. You didn't steady the ship. You stocked the lifeboats. She fired back, voice sharper, I didn't profit from chaos. I acted like anyone with common sense. Garcia leaned in. Then why were you the only one making perfect trades across 4 sectors all tied to tariff exposure? Greene froze, for half a second. He pressed. You want us to believe you were just lucky. But luck doesn't move in lockstep with executive power. Still no reply. You didn't beat the system, Congresswoman. You read the playbook before the game. She opened her mouth. Garcia cut in, calm but final. And when the same hand tips the first domino and cashes the last one? Don't call it reaction. Call it choreography. The room hadn't quite recovered from the cold, surgical lines Garcia had laid down when Greg Casar stepped in. No fanfare. No theatrics. Just methodical precision, sharpened by a sense that what was coming next wasn't about one member of Congress. It was about the structure she'd willingly attached herself to. If Schiff made the incision, and Garcia measured the bleeding, Casar was there to trace the veins straight to the heart of the machine. He began simply. Plainly. Let's talk about Elon Musk. Not as a meme king. Not as a visionary entrepreneur. But as a private actor with outsized access to public power and no meaningful accountability. Kassar leaned into the mic. Under U.S. federal law, any contractor with access to national security sensitive data must receive official certification within 130 days of contract issuance. Elon Musk, 210. 80 days past the deadline. He paused. That's not an oversight. That's an open door. He flipped the page. While this body was busy policing drag shows and rainbow pins, Musk was firing inspectors general, dismantling oversight boards, and absorbing government infrastructure into a private empire. And you, he looked directly at Greene. Sat on the subcommittee responsible for overseeing both contractor compliance and federal tech partnerships. Her face didn't flinch. Her hands tensed. Kassar continued. You didn't sound any alarms. You didn't request a review. Not a single question from you while a billionaire swallowed half our defense infrastructure like it was a buffet table at Mar-a-Lago. And all the while, your own stock portfolio was enjoying the entree. His tone sharpened. But you did buy stock. Greene lifted her chin. I believe in innovation. You all complain when the government fails, then you complain again when someone fixes it. Kassar didn't blink. This isn't fixing the government. This is replacing it. He flipped to a diagram. Government agencies on one side. Musk's corporate holdings on the other. Connecting lines were drawn like arteries. SpaceX handles launch operations. Starlink handles communications. Neuralink handles data acquisition. Twitter, now X, handles public narrative. And Greene handles the silence. The line stung. She interrupted. He's cleaning out the rot. You want to talk about corruption? Let's talk about the deep state that hid behind red tape for decades. Kassar leaned forward, voice cold and exact. You don't drain a swamp by investing in the sewage plant. The room tightened. You sat on a committee responsible for oversight of a contractor who openly ignored federal deadlines, acquired no-bid contracts from defense, and shut out regulators. And while he did that, you bought shares. He let that settle. You weren't an observer. You were a participant. Greene pressed back. You act like this is new. Private companies have worked with the government forever. Kassar shook his head. Yes. But not without rules. Not without transparency. And not with Congress actively shielding them. He pointed to the record. In the span of 6 months, Elon Musk received more federal leverage than some cabinet agencies, without ever facing a single full committee hearing. Greene tried to speak again. Kassar didn't let her. This isn't the government partnering with industry. This is industry replacing the government, with silence. With stock options. With congressional cover. He gestured to the chart again. Let me be clear, you weren't cleaning up Washington. You were profit-sharing with a contractor. The punchline didn't shout. It simply landed, with the weight of every chart, deadline, vote, and silence wrapped into one. You didn't disrupt the deep state. You helped fund the shadow one. You weren't just an accomplice. You were the alibi. Some people come into a hearing with fury. Jefffer brought something quieter and far more dangerous. He brought history. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He adjusted the mic with surgical calm, glanced once at the committee folder in front of him, then spoke with the stillness of a man who'd waited long enough. Let's talk about standards. His tone was measured, almost conversational, but it didn't land like small talk. It landed like indictment. When President Obama wore a tan suit, just a tan suit, it dominated 3 weeks of outrage on Fox News. You remember it. There were full panels. Pundit piles. Poll numbers. They questioned his patriotism, over the shade of a jacket. Jefffer let that absurdity sit in the air just long enough for its weight to shift from funny to uncomfortable. And now here we are. A sitting member of Congress oversees a billionaire with federal contracts. She buys stock in his companies. She blocks investigations into his compliance. And those same networks? They call it bold leadership. He glanced at Greene. No outrage. No full segments. No panels dissecting power or patriotism. Just silence. Selected silence. Greene's face tensed, but she stayed still. Jeff didn't stop. You see, it was never about clothing. It was never about decorum. It was, and always has been, about who gets to wield power unchecked. He raised a file titled Oversight Requests 2023. This committee submitted 3 formal inquiries into Mr. M's federal compliance. Not one of them went through. Not paused. Not reviewed. Blocked. Your office killed them. Congresswoman Greene burst in. Because this isn't oversight, it's political theater. You all come after me because I support Trump. Jeff exhaled through his nose. I remember when patriotism meant following the rules. Now it seems to mean breaking them, loudly. He turned a page. When a black president wears the wrong suit, it's a media crisis. When a white billionaire circumvents procurement law, it's called disruption. And when a MAGA lawmaker helps him do it, while buying in along the way, it's called America First. He let the rhetorical absurdity do the work. This is an oversight bias. It's exposure. Exposure of a 2-tiered system where compliance is expected from the weak, and rewarded silence protects the powerful. Jeff stepped toward the edge of the dais, not angry, just heavier now. This is not about party lines. This is about proximity to wealth. To unchecked influence. To immunity disguised as ideology. He leaned slightly closer. You weren't protecting the American people. You were protecting the pipeline. The one that moves money faster than accountability. The one that turns oversight into obstruction. From defense contracts to crypto tips. From compliance reviews to committee silence. Greene snapped back again. You don't get to define patriotism. Jeff didn't flinch. No. But the American people do. And I think they're starting to realize it doesn't look like insider trading wrapped in a red tie. He didn't slam the folder. He closed it gently, turned from the mic, and walked away. No applause. No theatrics. Just the quiet echo of something collapsing. Not just politically, but morally. The committee room didn't cheer. It exhaled. It didn't happen all at once. It never does. Not in hearings like these. Collapse is never theatrical. It's not a scream or a fall from a podium. It's subtler. Slower. Something in the air shifts. Something in the face freezes. And suddenly, the whole room knows what's happening, before the person at the center of it does. It began with Schiff. Calm as ever. His voice level, paced, like a prosecutor reading from deposition notes. Congresswoman Greene, in this hearing you made a clear and unambiguous statement under oath. You claimed you had no advanced knowledge of any pending tariff decisions or internal communications with Mr. Musk's companies prior to your stock purchases. He looked up, not with challenge, but with certainty. I'm giving you one opportunity to affirm or amend that statement. The room tightened. Greene didn't. Her lips parted slightly, then shut. She looked down at her notes. There was no annotation for this. This is harassment. You people leak and lie for years and now you dare to. The words tumbled out, half-formed, none of them landing. Then came the silence. The kind that swallows sound before it's born. A slight throat clear. Then. I've already answered that. You're just trying to trap me. Schiff didn't blink. No traps. Just the record, on which you are sworn. The stillness around her wasn't just silence. It was presence. Cameras adjusting. Aide staff frozen. The low hum of the ceiling vents suddenly felt intrusive. I've said what I've said, she muttered. Then louder, "This is a setup." Schiff folded his hands. "If your statement is true, Congresswoman, you have nothing to worry about. But if it's false, knowingly false, there are consequences. Under 18 U.S. Code Section 1001, lying under oath is not a political matter. It's a federal crime." A flicker in Greene's eyes. Not surprise, recognition. Her posture straightened sharply, like bracing for impact. "You don't intimidate me," she snapped. Her voice cracked. "Barely, but enough. Ma'am, I'm not trying to intimidate you. I'm trying to protect the integrity of this committee." "And the law," Schiff replied, cool and flat. She stood. Not all the way, but a sharp half-rise. One hand on the folder. The other hovered near the mic. "This whole thing is a joke. It's a witch hunt. You don't care about oversight. You just want a headline." A junior staffer, 2 rows back, instinctively leaned forward. Cameras followed her movement. Schiff remained motionless. "If you choose to leave while under subpoena, you may be held in contempt of Congress. That includes criminal referral. That's not politics. That's a statute." She froze. The phrase criminal referral hung in the air like a dropped knife. For a moment, just one full beat, Greene's body didn't move. But her face did. Her eyes darted, scanning the room. Not for allies, but for exit strategies. Her breathing quickened. Her lips parted. Then closed again. The folder in her hand trembled slightly, then more. A drop of sweat traced its way down her cheekbone. One of the CSPAN cameras zoomed, not fast, deliberate. Focused. Her aide behind her didn't speak. No one moved. Then she spoke. "I don't have to take this. I don't have to sit here and be treated like a criminal." Schiff leaned forward, not with force, but with finality. "You don't have to be treated like a criminal, Congresswoman. But you do have to tell the truth." Greene's mouth opened again, but no sound came. She wasn't shouting now. She wasn't grandstanding. She was simply caught. The microphone she had commandeered all morning now sat limp, tilted, untouched. It didn't cut out. It didn't glitch. It simply waited, just like everyone else. The room didn't move. The building didn't breathe. The seconds stretched. For the first time all day, Greene didn't look like a fighter. She looked like someone who couldn't find the next line. One of the reporters near the wall quietly set down his pen. On screen, the feed didn't cut. The camera held, on her face. Eyes wide. Lips tight. Panic, perfectly visible under the studio lighting. There was no spin team between her and the audience now. No cheering could soften this moment. She wasn't leaving. She wasn't speaking. She wasn't collapsing physically, she was collapsing politically. In real time. And America watched it happen. Not in headlines. Not in analysis. But frame by frame. No one declared the moment over. No gavel struck. No one said recess. But in the stillness, in the frozen posture, in the silence too sharp to be ambient, everyone knew. The clip didn't just trend. It detonated. No cheerin'. No voiceover. Just her face, tight, cornered, sweating under the lights. Schiff's voice, calmly invoking perjury. And then the stillness. The silence. That half-second when Marjorie Taylor Greene stopped being the loudest person in the room. And became its quietest. It played on every network that hadn't already sworn fealty. And even some that had. Hashtags flipped like panic buttons. MAGA Queen became Green collapse overnight. Fox News went to commercial. MSNBC rewound it, frame by frame. C-SPAN didn't add commentary. They didn't need to. The footage spoke for itself. Her allies tried spinning. It was a setup. She was baited. The committee was out for blood. But no one could unsee the image. her standing half-twisted, sweat crawling down her cheek. While Schiff calmly told her, "This is federal law." The spin machines coughed. Then stalled. Because here's the thing. You can spin sound bites. You can spin slogans. But you can't spin silence. Within 48 hours, Greene disappeared from view. No new tweets. No live videos. No Fox appearances. She missed a scheduled rally in Georgia. Her seat on 2 oversight subcommittees quietly vanished from the House website. No press release, just deletion. Democrats didn't throw parties. They didn't need to. What a figure built entirely on outrage finally runs out of oxygen. No celebration is necessary, only observation. And what America saw wasn't just one woman folding under pressure. It was a moment of clarity. Because for all the noise, all the red caps and chants and slogans, when the questions were legal, and the answers were on record, the microphone became heavier than her voice. And for the first time in her political career, Marjorie Taylor Greene couldn't lift it. She didn't run out of words. She ran out of spin. But maybe the real collapse wasn't hers alone. Maybe the real collapse was the realization of how long she got to play Congresswoman on live TV, without ever being asked to perform under oath.